Okay, hello. So, um, I don't know. This is kind of just sort of fallen together. This decode. We're looking at Speed, the film. Okay, and in particular, the reason why we're looking at it is this 2525, and there was also a couple other number jumps that tied in with this, which we'll get onto in just a second. But this whole thing with this bus, um, it's got the 33 on it, Death and Resurrection. Um, even on this little number plate, you might not probably can't make this out, but it's even got the 97 on there, which we'll be talking about here in a minute, and it's got the 724 again with um, all these numbers with Madonna with the 724 in them, and also with the Hulk, Hogan's death date 724. Anyway, this is in no particular order, so I'm going to be jumping around all over the place. Got a few number jumps to do. There's quite a lot of bits and pieces in this film, a ton of little connections, and I haven't really even, this is just the stuff that I can kind of remember off the top of my head what we're doing now, so I haven't been back through the film to see just how much stuff there really is on this. So there probably is, I am guessing, way more to this. Anyway, if you recall, I did a number jump in a video, it's been a couple of videos back now, just this evening, on Holiday. Okay, this song by Madonna, and we were looking at a very interesting number jumps that were coming out with Madonna and Rocco Ritchie to do with this September the 7th, 1983 release, and Rocco Ritchie's birthday and everything. Okay. Just so happens on the other side of this happens to be the first release. So this was all released off of the self-titled Madonna debut album. Okay, this happens to be song number 1 on it. Holiday happens to be song number 5. Now, if you recall, 9/11 through to Christmas is 105 days. Okay, so there's this interesting connection with 105 and also with 51, being May Day. And then there was the connection in with May Day as the twin date for, well, the 1st of September. Okay, where I am at in Kansas right now, we've just jumped out of that now. It's 12:21 right now on the clock, and so just waiting to see if something happens in Vegas here in the next, I don't know, hour or two. So anyway, or something happens with Madonna in the next. Well, I probably won't see that in the next hour or two, but I'm just gonna kind of stay up and see if anything happens tonight. But anyway, get to the point. Lucky Star happens to be on the B-side to Holiday, and Holiday is on the B-side to Lucky Star. So they've made a point of referencing these two, or tying these two things together. Okay. Now there's several other references that I could do with Lucky Star, and there's a decode that I've meant to do for a while now to do with Guy Ritchie's film Snatch that ties in quite a lot with Madonna. And they play that song, and we've got Vinnie Jones in that film actually. There's a quite nice number jump reference to him, and there's also a connection to Train Spotting and so forth and so on. We're all over the place with the references, but what we want to do now is we're gonna look at this and how it connects in just slightly with Speed a little bit. Okay, so when we do a number jump from the release of Lucky Star now, which is 9983, which again is interesting with the fire trails in the end of part 2. Okay, going into the Wild West in Back to the Future, we have this sort of 9966 fire trail thing with the DeLorean. Anyway, when we look at those connections, look at the date here, 83, Okay, and we're going to see some interesting connections back with 8.3s again. You know, we're just all over the place. But what I want you to spot is from the release of that through to Madonna's birthday, or back to Madonna's birthday, is 9156 days, or I guess you could do this as well. You could say it's that 9155 days, but with the end date included, we get to this very interesting set of numbers here, which is 25 years, 25 days. And then, of course, we can do the same thing with Rocco Ritchie, his birthday, and we can jump out to the 5th of September now, and we're getting 2525. Now, I'll explain why this is marginally interesting here in a minute, because it kind of ties into, again, Back to the Future 3, and this is actually when the clock restarts in Back to the Future 3. Okay, so the night of the dance, the town festival in the Wild West there in Back to the Future 3, this is when the clock starts running. Okay, so this is an important reset number to do with Back to the Future. Okay, and so I guess we'll tie all this back in together here, you know, during this, you know, video, so to speak. So anyway, Speed the film, we've got some number jumps to do, but this 2525, let's first of all just get what we're talking about straight. The bus number, what is in big on top of the bus as well, is this 2525. Okay, there are some other references, obviously. Let's just look at, before we go too crazy on this as well, let's go back and look at the gematria just really quickly for speed as well, and just discuss one other thing. If we look at speed itself, it's a 4986. Okay, we've been discussing the 86 in the last few videos as well a little bit. 286 something, and you flip that round, it's 98. And again, we're back to September the 8th, the Queen's death, you know, so this 86, 68, 98, 89 stuff is all very interesting. 49. What is interesting about the bus, okay, so speed equals 49, and what is interesting about the bus is when it hits 50 mile an hour, it triggers, it sets the bomb, turns the bomb on, okay, on the bus. Hope I can say that. And if they drop below 50, it's going to blow, okay? So they've got to stay above 50. This connection with 49 and 50, to me, is a connection back to Pentecost, and that comes 50 days after Easter. So what's interesting about that is it's basically 7 sevens, and then you just include the end date, okay? So it's 7 weeks plus including the end date makes the 49 turn to a 50. Okay, so it's very interesting, the idea of the Holy Spirit, the dove from above returning. Okay, and this idea of the Holy Spirit is obviously with the name even Pentecost. Okay, Pent 5, this connection with the 5-pointed star is very interesting with Madonna's Lucky Star reference. Okay, notice the 13's in here, okay, and the 31 and the 113. Well, I'm going to show you something here well, we'll do it in just a second, and we've got a few other bits in here that we'll come back to as well. Okay, so I guess we should start at the end of the film first and show you the train crash, because of course this has an underground train again, a tube train sort of thing, you know, a subway train, so to speak, and they're going to run it off the tracks to try and save themselves. Okay, this is towards the end of the film. Okay, and along comes this train, and what's going to end up happening is it's going to shoot out onto whatever the main Hollywood drag is. Is it Hollywood Boulevard? I don't know, but it's going to shoot up into onto the main Hollywood drag here, and you see it's shooting out of the thing. Well, let me just get back. I want to get to this point. So this is where it's going to shoot out, okay? And you've got, you've got your Walk of Fame down here and all this stuff that we had referenced as well in It's Raining Again, okay? That where the guy in the music video for It's Raining Again with Supertramp, the dude gets out. The first star he walks across is Mary somebody. I can't remember what it is. I put it in the comments. I forgot to mention it in the actual video decode. But that's the first play, so we have this reference to, I think this is Hollywood Boulevard it's called. I'm not sure actually. Think about it now, what this Moan Drag's called. It's got the Chinese theatre on and everything else. Anyway, notice where it's coming up out of, it's going to come up out of the ground here. Notice this shape here, like the dam. Notice the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 towers, but really this middle column, which I've mentioned before, the 5th element here, is really a metaphysical gateway. This is why in Back to the Future it's referenced with the big glass door on the clock tower. So we really have 1, 2, 3, 4 physical looking columns, the 4 corners of the earth, yeah. The elemental stuff, earth, fire, all that stuff, water and all the rest of it. And then this middle part here is the 5th element, okay? It's the metaphysical gateway into the temple, and they're going to come up out of the underground version of this, the dead world, okay? The tomb, okay? So this is coming out of the tomb, so to speak. Notice the 20 and then the 3 here, yeah, the safety record thing. Let me just show you something in the chart Lorraine. If you draw the clock tower in here, okay, very quickly, and here's the lightning, okay, and then here's the clock face, 10:04, 14. We have the columns here, okay. What we have is this metaphysical column right here, which is the doorway, okay. So this is our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pillars, so to speak, that we see there in that image. Notice that the 20 and the 3 right here, and also notice that 20 is, right here is 25 referencing, okay. So there's 203 right here and the 25 stuff here, okay. Super duper important to this, and this idea of tying back with Back to the Future here. So 203, busting through that metaphysical gateway here. Anyway, it comes up through there, and anyway, it ends up going along the road, and it goes past the Chinese theatre that just happens. And notice the 13 on here, yeah. Notice that 13. Where was our gematria? Notice the lucky star equals 130 and 31 and 113. Okay, lucky star. Also notice the fact that where was we at? Notice the fact with the pyramid here. Notice with the Eye of Providence stuff, with Desperately Seeking Susan's pyramid. Okay, reference again. Notice there's 3 pyramids on here. Think back to iPet Go. Note the 3 pyramids at the end of it. Okay. Notice there's an M on the front, an M on the front of the train, for M for Madonna, M for M is 13 again, so forth and so on, M for Mary, okay? And down the road it comes, you get the shot of past the Chinese theatre that just happens to have 2001 A Space Odyssey playing, yeah. The 9/11 was the 2001 Space Odyssey event, okay? So 2001 to the completion of this. And notice what it's going to bump into here. Notice that we've got Ozzy's death date on the side of here as well, the 227 numerology here. Starline Tours. Yeah, lucky star. Starline. Okay, and it just stops right there, just bumps the truck. Absolutely mental. Okay, Dan, it says star. If it said Lucky Star, it would have been better. Yeah, okay, it would have been better if it said Lucky Star Tours. That might have been a bit too obvious. I don't know. But again, if we come back to the gematria, look what Starline Tours equals. Okay, 191. Absolutely nuts. Got the 88 in there as well. Very nice. And look what Starline by itself is. The 98. The Death of the Queen. And then we've got Rocco Ritchie 118 birthday number here as well. So absolutely interesting, to say the least. Let's do some of these number jumps, which are even more interesting. So we've gone through this with the 25-25 on top of the bus, from Madonna through to Lucky Star. The Lucky Star is the dove from above. Yeah, okay. 25-25 through to the clock stopping in Back to the the start of the clock starting in Back to the Future. 3. Okay, this is when the clock begins going again, or originally starts going. Okay, so we've got, let's look at some of these dates. So we've got 2 release dates, June the 7th in Hollywood, 94, and June the 10th, 94 in Hollywood. Look at it, 1:16 minutes. Yeah, that is absolutely crazy. Again, 11:6 crosses with 2:03 on the dartboard as well. So this is kind of important with that cross on the dartboard. And again, when we're talking about Odysseus returning home, the symbolism is shooting that arrow through the bullseye, so to speak, through the eye of the axe head, to prove that he is the king. Okay, and to claim Penelope back, essentially. Okay. Let's do some number jumps with this now, okay? So the first one is, I want to look at Rocco Ritchie. The release date through to the birthday of Rocco Ritchie, okay? The release date of the film through to the birthday of Rocco Ritchie. 2255 days. Unbelievable. Absolutely mental. That is just crazy. 2255 days. Absolutely crazy. Let me show you something else. Okay, so we've got the bus numbers right there. This is the release date through to the 9/5 date, where Rocco Ritchie comes out at 25:25. Okay, where his number jump comes out at 25:25. This. Okay, we have to go to the 5th of September to come out the same as Madonna's 1956, 25:25. Look at this bloody number. It's palindropic, very nice. You know, these palindropic numbers, they're not uncommon, but you know, like if we were running this palindropic number and looking at dates for it, you know, this is only going to be palindropic about every 100. It's got to go through another 100 digits here, another 100 days to get to the next palindropic number, which would be 115 whatever 11. You know, whatever you've got on the front of that. So it's got to keep going 100. So they're not exactly, I mean, they're not popping up every few numbers. They're fairly, I want to say, they're not super duper rare, but they're not super duper common either. So that's very interesting with the palindropic stuff. But anyway, and obviously it depends on the length of the number to how quickly a palindropic number shows up. But you know, with these 5-digit ones, about every 100 days, you know. Anyway, what was I going to say? So this is well interesting because the clock, this is, you know, again, this ties back with the clock in Back to the Future, yeah, when the clock stops actually on 10:04, and this is the start date for the clock. So this is, you know, I mean, it's just interesting, these ideas tying together. What have we got here? Madonna's birthday through to the 6/7 release of the film. We got the 138 numbers coming up. Got these 38 numbers coming up again here, and if we click on to the 10th, we've still got 138083 here. I just thought this was interesting because it just happens to be between Keanu Reeves' birthday, who happens to be the 2nd of September, which we're on right now. Yeah, this is maybe why it's so significant in things like The Matrix, and also that reference with the surfing in the last video that I did. Remember, Keanu, I don't know if that was his first really big film, Point Break, or what. But anyway, it kind of reminded me of that film with him. The surfing connection, maybe not, you know. But anyway, okay. From him through to Sandra Bullock's birthday, 38 days. Or I guess you could do 39 if you wanted to as well. Okay, and obviously 39 numerology is to do with the Hoover Dam, the birthday of the Hoover Dam, the 30th of September 1935. So this is kind of interesting as well with the 38 stuff, with all the stuff we have with Madonna as well. Oh, and that rebirth scene in 1955 starts, I think, you know, you could kind of say it starts with 8:30 when the dong starts hitting, you know. And again, back with this stuff with all that stuff there. Okay, so that's pretty much shown you most of that stuff, but I want to just show you two more clips out of the film. I haven't had time to go back through this film and actually watch it, rewatch it and see what I notice now. Just haven't had time. One thing I will show you is this gal ends up getting killed in it. She is in Donnie Darko. She's the Karen in Donnie Darko. Okay, and she ends up dying in this. This is kind of interesting that she happens to be in this film as well. Okay, this is the first bus that gets blown up. Okay, note that Keanu's about to get in his, I believe this is a Ford Bronco. So we have this Bronco reference again, back with Peyton Manning, back now with bloody old Rudy. That car crash with him, we just covered as well. He was in I think he was in a Bronco, you know. So we've got little references coming up. Let me also show you this. Was there someone else I wanted to show you in there? I can't remember. I feel like there was maybe another. We might just have a little scout about in there, but I wanted to show you when the bomb actually armed. Oh yeah, there was something else that's in this thing. When this bomb actually arms, notice the time happens to be. Notice actually that this hand is actually pointing kind of towards the 52 and the 25. So they have the 25-52 references in here. Okay, or the 25-25 reference. Notice the 8 referenced in here as well, which is kind of interesting with Back to the Future in the 8:25 reference in Back to the Future, with the clock being off, the clock's being off. So this is, you know, I mean, there's all just little things like this that sort of tie in. Also, if you look at this as well, this is 10:25, and if you were to change this to 24-hour clock, this would be 22:25. Okay, which again, let me just show you something with those number jumps very quickly. Is that okay? With Madonna's one, it's 25-25, right? Through from her birthday to the song. But if you go from Rocco Ritchie now through to the first, which is what we wanted to look at, really, it's let's go look what it is. We had to go to get him on 25-25, we had to go to the 5th. But let's actually just backtrack back to the 1st and the 2nd. Okay, you could do an inclusive thing for the 1st. Now it is 25-22, and that also works for the 2nd, which is, again, remember, Keanu Reeves is the 1, so the 2nd as well is pretty important with that, if you include the end date. So that's how that fudgery works. And again, that was our same holiday number that we saw in the last video. But again, this is 25:22 is what we're seeing on this clock. Yeah, if this was, let's say it's a 24-hour clock, this would be 2200 hours here. Yeah, so this is absolutely flipping mental with this reference back to Rocco as well. Okay, let me just show you something else that's in here. Note that in the, actually I've got it run up right here. This scene here, in fact, if you were to go over to 88 Finiston Porus and find, I can't remember what the video is called now though. Dear oh dear. It may be called something to do with speed, I don't know. But anyway, if you look, or it might be something to do with Madonna or the Virgin Mary, let's put it that way. It's one of those videos. And it's from a few years ago now. He's got a decode on this. And in this particular scene where Keanu's trying to get on the bus, there's a bunch of 9/11 references. If I could ever get to a point where I could find them. Anyway, I'm not really going to spend a lot of time on this, but on the speedometer there's a 9/11 reference, and on the number plate of this particular car says, I believe it says like Tune Man, like Tune Man. Again, that's kind of interesting with the music reference. And then on, boy oh boy, I think when he comes up the side of the, I should have, oh here we go, here's an, okay, so this is the car, okay, with the 119 reference, the 9/11 reference. Notice the 127, Madonna Gematria is 127, so that shows up with her, and it's gonna, they're in the Jaguar as well, which is kind of interesting, but oh, you can't quite see the number plate there, but it does say Tune Man on it. Anyway, if you go and watch there's the Tune Man. Okay, if you go and watch the 88 Finiston Porus video, however he spotted this, I do not know, but as he's coming up and overtakes the bus, there is another car just up in front of him, and of course I'm not going to be able to get on that spot, but anyway, somewhere up here as he's overtaking, there is another car and it says For Mary on it. Okay, the same as we have in Back to the Future, the For Mary sign on the number plate. So I don't know how he spotted it, but anyway, it's over at 88 Finiston Porus. If somebody really desperately can't find it, I could probably dig through his stuff and find it for you and give you the link. But anyway, this ties back in with Back to the Future again. Okay, this scene, and I think that was all I really wanted to say about that. I'm going to leave it there because I'm kind of whiffly waffling. I feel like there's several other references in this film, but gosh, I don't know. And then you see little bits where the pram gets hit by the bus, and there's a bunch of cans in there, and then you see Back to the Future, Ghostbusters 2, and they have this. The pram ends up in front of the bus, and the bus stops right up against, right in front of it. There's little references in other films back to all these, back on one another, that they keep putting in these films that reference back to the, another film that ties in with it all. I think I'll leave it there. The Lucky Star, Starline Tours. Okay. Yeah, this is just absolutely mental. When I get more time, I might go back through this and actually spend a little bit of time, actually go through the film and put something a little bit more cohesive together. Okay, but look at this. Rocco Ritchie's birthday, 2255. Unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. Okay, thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I'm going to just hang about for a bit longer and just see if anything does happen tonight. So, because I think it's a pretty big night tonight, but you know, probably nothing will happen. Probably nothing will happen, but I'm gonna just keep an eye out. All right. Good night. God bless.